Council,
Screaming.
council chambers, and Jim's on the other side of the room. So we cannot be unmuted at the same time. We're being coached by the tech folks here about how to make this technically as pleasant as possible for everyone. So welcome to one more variety of how to have a meeting. And I have my other laptop over here because I'm on a city laptop, which I'm. Oh, it's not going to let me in. All right, that's fantastic. Ron will not be with us today. Ron's actually in the hospital. I don't know exactly what's up, but just said it was a rough weekend and they wouldn't let him out as of yesterday. So
do you know what hospital he's in?
I don't actually. I forget that that's a choice here. So I'm going to follow up with him today. He's emailing me periodically, but I sincerely hope he's doing well, obviously. All right, so I was going to look at Jim sent out the agenda and the minutes from the last couple meetings, July and June, but of course I can't find them now.
They were sent on August 24th, if that helps you
Yeah,
at
and
all.
I think they just sent them out recently, or anyway. Yes, so we have June and July minutes. If you were able to read those, does anybody have any feedback, concerns, errors, corrections?
I have my name.
Pardon, Julia?
I said my name is spelled wrong.
Which part? Is that the Callahan again?
Both.
Both. Oh.
I'm not Julia.
All right. Well, let's make sure and correct Julia's name. I can now spell your last name accurately, but it's taken some practice. Correct Julia's name.
Just on July 2nd, the other one.
Great. All right. Any other corrections or notes for the minutes of the June and July meetings? Well, both July meetings. This camera's like right in my face. Back up a little bit.
No changes.
All right.
I move to approve as amended.
Move is approved as amended. Do I have a second? I'll second.
Well, Meryl seconded. She's just muted.
Oh, sorry. All right. I like that. All in favor? I do like a time.
It was a
All
wrong
opposed.
time to put food in my mouth. Sorry.
So the minutes are accepted as submitted with amended correction on July 2nd for Julia's name. All right. So this morning we have a special guest. Whoops. They're not my. These are city provided earphones, just like a fantastic airplane. Your pictures keep moving around a little bit, so I keep looking around there. So Kelly was in the corner, now Kelly's up there. So we have a special guest, Kelly Highland from the Visitors Bureau. And a running theme is a calendar from our cultural venues and our artists. And there's several calendars of events that are used around town. And because the Convention Center has a calendar, a self-service calendar, and we would like to know a little bit better how it works, how it's reviewed, turnaround time, and recently there was a nonprofit category, I think, that was added. So we're very obviously anxious to hear about that portion as well. So Kelly, I will turn it over to you. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. So I'm actually going to share my screen. Hopefully, is that okay?
Oh yeah,
I can. Okay. Can everyone see that?
we can.
Yes.
Okay, so this is our website. So if you just go to visitbn.org, I will go ahead and walk through. I'll do like an overview of the calendar and then go specifically into the non-for-profit calendar that we recently created as well. And if you have any questions, feel free to jump in and let me know if you have any. So once you get to our homepage right here, you can click on this events tab here at the top, and it will, oh, my computer's being slow. If it'll do a drop-down bar at the bottom of it, you will see where it says submit an event here at the bottom after the list of all the different categories that we have. So if you guys are looking to submit a definite event, if an event is definite, you can go ahead and put it up on our website. It will ask you, if you don't already, to create a login account. And it's just a simple email and password. And we will send you a verification email. And you will just have to click on something that says that you verify it and then come back here to go ahead and log in. So I will use our work login to get in here real quick. So once you get that set up, you'll come in here and it'll be an event manager. So you can put in all your event details here. Event name, date, time, everything like that. Location. Right now, we are also putting up virtual events since everything, is virtual right now, or a lot of events have moved virtual. So if it doesn't have a physical location, you can go ahead and click this. This event does not have a physical location. And then just in the details, I would clarify that it's a virtual event or in the title of the event. So you can add in the details as well as like the cost for your upcoming event, the website where people can find more information if you don't want to include everything on here, phone number, and then down here is our list of categories that we have for our community. So if your event is arts, culture, and entertainment, you can go ahead and click that. We have a variety of them. And if they are multiple categories, you can, I believe, on my computer, if you hold down like command or control, you can go ahead and click multiple. So if it is arts and culture and entertainment and family friendly, etc. So that just means it will show up. If people are looking for specific things, it will show up just in those categories. But if people look at our events calendar as a whole, they will show up there as well. So then you can also add an event image if you have like a flyer or a photo that pertains to your event. You can go ahead and upload that as well, and that will be there. And then you can go ahead and just submit the event. So we do review the events on our back end before they do go live on our website. I try and check it every day, usually at the end of the day. I'll look through all the ones that have been submitted, make sure dates are right, stuff like that, make sure the website links work, and then they will go live. And you will get a notification when it has been approved to the email that you set up with. Any questions so far? Good. Cool. So there is also, back to the locations. For example, a lot of them are pre-generated from people who have put in events in the past. So for example, if we do the BCPA, it is already like pre-generated, put in there for you. So hopefully that can make it a little bit easier. So yeah, so for the nonprofit calendar, we were getting a lot of requests from local organizations that they wanted a place where they could work together to plan tentative and definite dates, so we can kind of see everyone else's events and kind of work together to not, step on each other's toes and plan events on the same day. So if you go to our fundraising / non-for-profit link right here, it will bring you to this page. And if you don't get everything that I say right now, I have put step-by-step process on there for you. Or if you guys want to share this information with any other non-for-profits that you know of, I do kind of have it laid out here on how you can do that. So if you click on here, this is actually going to take you to a different calendar where this is solely created for any non-for-profit organization here in McLean County. And as you can see, you can put in any event. So this is the current month of September. It's as simple as clicking on a date that you have or hoping to have an event. And then same kind of similar thing, you can go ahead and put in all the event details, who, where, description. But then you can click on calendar right here. And if it is a definite, go ahead and hit green for a definite calendar. And then the blue, oops, I apologize. The blue tentative tab, if it is tentative, just so everyone knows if you're thinking about that date or that's what you have marked off right now, or if it is definite. So then, yeah, once you click on it, upload your information and then hit save, it will go live on here. And again, this goes through an indefinite future. So you can see that some people have put in their information here as well. So this isn't tied to our actual events calendar that we have on our website. So I do suggest that once your event has gone definite as a non-for-profit, that you come back to our calendar and do that same thing, but upload it to our actual event calendar as well. So it will be live on our website because this one is just a scheduling one for you guys. So yeah, that's most of it. Any other questions? I'm trying to think if I forgot anything.
I have a question.
Yeah.
For the not-for-profit calendar for scheduling, not the events calendar, but the scheduling calendar, when are you also required to create an account for that one?
No. So that is just for anyone to put in. You don't have to, it'll pull up this page just like I have it.
Okay. Okay. So it's really accessible to anybody in any nonprofit.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Kelly, for that. And other questions? And
I do have one more question. Sorry.
yeah, definitely, Mel.
Full of questions.
Yeah,
Maybe
please.
I'll utilize this. The other question I have, Kelly, how far in advance do you suggest an organization, regardless profit or non, to post on the events calendar? What is your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I would say, I mean, honestly, as soon as you know about it, I will say that we take a lot of our events and push it all towards social media or advertisements. We do a print ad with the Limited where we take all of our monthly events and put it together and put it in an ad. So if you have it, and usually we create that ad the month prior. So we just did our October one. At least I would say a month in advance if you have it.
Okay.
So then if it's on there, then we'll include it in our ad. So it's kind of a free push for that organization.
Oh, that's good to know. I know that you would check every day to make sure that events, are posted. And I just wanted to know further kind of what that lead time was that, if you have an event that's surprise, it's happening next week and you're all planned and you put it on the event calendar, is it going to be approved in time?
Yeah. Okay. So I usually try and check it every day.
Yep.
So hopefully we can get those out there. But again, yeah, I mean, if it is just a few days out in advance, it'll still be able to be up on our website and see our most recent upcoming events. I will show you is put right on our homepage. It kind of generates it here at the bottom of like what's most recently coming up. So if it is like one of the more recent ones coming up, they will be at the bottom as well. So.
Okay. And it auto populates. Awesome. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. And if anyone has any questions, you can feel free to email me. Sometimes our website's a little finicky with putting in certain dates and times. So if you have any questions, my email is just Kelly, and it's actually Kelli at visitbn.org. So feel free to email me any questions if you have anything. I'd be happy to help.
I had just thought of one more question, Kelly. I know that, or I think Crystal uses this calendar to find out what to highlight in her news, her radio. Um, does she still do that? I'll highlight a few events on the radio
Don't think
podcast.
we're not doing those right now.
Ah, okay.
But yes, we did do those where we would take them as well, but we're more focusing, taking these events and pushing them on social media
Ah.
and like our limited ad that we do, the print ad every month where we take all the ones that we have submitted.
And then how is there, now that you have the nonprofit, how did you communicate that to people? How did you send that out, or
The non-for-profit, we
Like-
sent it out to a list of contacts that we had received from the chamber, I believe. So we emailed it out to that. Other than that, just kind of word of mouth and everyone kind of spreading it through there.
Yeah.
I think Crystal's talked to a few different people, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm wondering, because it's very helpful, and something that we had talked about, and some of the artists had talked about in our cultural organizations, in that what it led me to was some of those conversations are not necessarily not for profit, but using something like this, again, not to bump into each other. So Town of Normal is planning a big festival at the same time that the BCPA is planning a big festival. You know, there's not a good way to really know that unless you call each other. And so,
Right. Yeah.
in addition to fundraising, it's sort of like, cultural events. But we also have a discussion group that we launched to sort of help with that too. Like, hey, I'm thinking about doing this late summer. Is anybody else looking at that? Because that could also be useful for thinking if they put that on this calendar, those kind of events could be useful too, because your nonprofit would be like, oh, I don't want to do it that night because, Town of Normal's got their big shindig. And in normal times, it'd be like, oh, I don't want to do that on that weekend. It's the Sweet Corn Festival or something.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
So hopefully we can get the word out on this a little bit more, and then everyone can put their stuff on here. Hopefully it'll help.
Do you know what kind of traffic you have to the calendar? Just people clicking in general, or to look?
I don't have specifics, but it looks since I've last looked at it, more people have added upcoming events. And there are some same users that I can tell through here that have seen it. So the baby fold's on here a lot, Easter seals is on here a lot, but yeah, I don't have specifics, unfortunately.
That's cool. How about viewership? Just people, just in of the overall calendar site.
I would have to check on the back end. I don't have those numbers, but I can definitely pull them for you and then send
That'd
them.
be cool to know. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be kind of cool to know. As we've talked about, how can we help spread the word, so to speak. And when I talked to, is it Matt, that we talked about working together to help, pull organizations and make sure they know everything, the resources that are available. So this is certainly a resource. We want to do that. So yeah, knowing how many people come to your website or come to the calendar view, that would be like a selling point. That'd be cool.
I'll pull them for you and I'll email them over to you.
Oh, excellent. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Anything else for Kelly, who got up bright and early to help to talk to us this morning?
Kelly, yes. Question: I don't know if you even know this answer, but have you guys reached out to actual cultural organizations and groups like Conexiones Latinas, MCIA, McLean County Indian Association? Because I'm looking at the calendar and there's absolutely nothing there.
Yeah. So part of our strategic plan for this year is to focus more on arts and cultural things like that. So that's in the works, hopefully. And Matt's more focused on that in our office. So, but yeah, definitely. More than happy to reach out and make a connection with them and get them involved and on our website. But yeah, I'm not familiar for.
Okay. Do you guys have an Instagram page or a social media page that we can share stuff from? Like, did you post about the new calendars and stuff that we can share?
I haven't made a specific post about this, but I can, and probably more on Facebook. So we are Visit BN, mostly on all of our social media, or I think on Facebook, we're the Bloomington Normal Area Convention and Visitors Bureau. But I will maybe today I'll put a post up and just kind of remind people if they want to submit events, so especially not for not-for-profits. If you guys want to go ahead and share that, I'll put that out today. Yeah.
Kelly, would you or someone from the CVB be willing to be a part of our BN Community Arts group on Google to maybe help facilitate at least the information?
That's a good point.
Obviously, we're trying to have a central location for folks to gather
Yeah.
and share that knowledge, but it obviously it's a pretty easy posting mechanism, and if folks did have technical questions, it may be easier for you just to answer once you have a thread and you've answered those questions, then you wouldn't have to keep answering them. It may reduce the overall sort of Q&A and technical struggles people may or may not have with the website.
Okay. Yeah. Between Matt or I, he's kind of taken on that side, but I will talk to him today once I get in the office. And then, but yeah, I mean, between the two of us, more than happy to be a part of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great idea, Melissa. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, somewhere to actually post links and answers as other people get other people put into there.
I mean, I like to think the WGLT community calendar is very intuitive, but we get a lot of questions about it too. People are pretty accustomed to making a Facebook event, but it can be confusing. So that may cut down on questions and
good idea.
Troubleshooting and stuff like that.
Yeah. And I know Matt's been working on more connection for cultural arts and really focus on cultural arts. He and I had a conversation around public art and murals and what could the CVB do and what we were doing. And so we'll try to circle back on that. So appreciate your help there, Kelly.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for having me.
All right. You're welcome to stay, Kelly, or you can leave and go to your day job.
I do have to get there.
All right. Thanks, Kelly, very much.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
That was a lot of work. We really appreciate that.
Yeah. Have a good rest of your day.
Bye, thank you.
Thank you.
So that was cool. Now, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, Meryl had a less than satisfactory experience with the CVB calendar.
That's why I asked the question that I had without divulging too much of hey, I had a personal experience. But I think also at the time that I had submitted that event, they were going through some changes. And now it seems a little more consistent in what they do, when they check, how they check. So I'm positive. I'm actually going to submit an event today, and I'll let you all know.
Excellent. We will have real-time testing.
Yeah.
And I'll go out. I'll hold myself accountable to go out and post on the BN Community Arts Group about the WGLT community calendar, and then someone from the CVB, hopefully at some point soon, can hop in and give some advice on how to post on their calendar.
I'll follow up with Matt on
We're
that.
be able to get past sort of some of the cumbersome aspects of posting in multiple places, but it's a start. And at least if we're facilitating a conversation and pointing people to the right places, it is as intuitive as a Facebook event. So I know it's a little tedious to enter in multiple places, but at least it's a start. We're heading the right direction.
I think the multiple places too is if we can, right now there's a ton of multiple places, there's so many different places. And I think if we as organizations narrow that down to what are the most important places, then people are more willing to say, oh, okay, I can post at 3 places and generate real good conversations, attendance, knowledge, rather than, oh my gosh, where do I go? I'm going to post on the chamber site, or I'm going to post on Panagraph, or I'm going to post on here, and not really knowing what they get. So if we're directing them to CVB, WGLT, and a Facebook page, that really gets more bang for their buck.
Right. That's a
which
good
is
point.
free dollars.
Yeah.
Yes. That's an important element. These are free, and we are pointing you to areas to help amplify your event, amplify and connect your event. now more
Laura
important than
Kennedy
ever.
still pulls from the community calendars for date book, which she's still doing weekly right now. So, and the CVB, I appreciate you asking the question, Kelly, because they're not doing any radio buys right now.
Yeah, that surprised me because that was, that was the one like, oh, we use this calendar, we have to know a month in
Yeah.
advance, but we'll do that. I'm like, oh, we're not doing that. Okay.
Yeah. So it will be nice to not for the meeting minutes, but it will be nice to see if we can push some more support for how do we promote these events, because
Yeah.
it will be nice to show the folks that are taking the time to submit the events that, they're getting some added,
Right.
they're getting some bonus love from, being pulled and featured on, John Norton will pull them for Morning Edition. So
Oh, that's
it's
cool.
nice to be
Yeah.
able to show that we've got, just to rally more support behind
Yeah.
it.
And to show those, particularly the importance of posting any kind of visual, and that the next events gets highlighted at the top there is a nice thing that's captured there as well. I'll follow up with Matt at the CVB. He and I chatted a little bit, and he or maybe Kelly would be the best one, or maybe both. We could invite both to the Google group.
I would, Kelly, I will go ahead and send them both. An invite. I can do that right now.
Pardon? You're cutting out.
I will go ahead and send both of them invites.
Oh, great. Thank you
I
very
can do
much,
that right
Julia.
now.
All right, sweet. Cross that off. Yeah, they're very much focused. Matt says they just have a really renewed focus on cultural. And this was 2 months ago. I can't believe that time flies when, in some ways, time is slogging by, but it does. And really bringing cultural elements and diverse cultural things and art, really putting more of an emphasis on that as part of their strategic plan. So what are other feedback on this? Yeah.
I kind of wanted to address what Angelique was saying, reaching out to those organizations that aren't constantly in the public eye for whatever reason. She had mentioned, I know Kelly had mentioned receiving a nonprofit list from the chamber. And what we find, being a member of the chamber, is we're finding that there are specific folks who are joining the chamber. And some of our smaller, more cultural nonprofits aren't members of the chamber. So figuring out how to get that list to the CVB or have the CVB obviously do their due diligence and reaching out, what our role in that as a cultural commission, I'm not yet sure, aside from, making a list and getting it into the hands. But I feel that our cultural nonprofits don't always know what is available if they are not part of that inner circle of, chamber. And
I would agree.
I mean, it would be nice to be a voice of in between. I just don't know how yet to do that. I'm still kind of churning the gears in my head, aside from going to them and saying, hey, did you know you can post here? Which is great, but I think that the CVB should be doing that.
Right. I think that's the better outreach and the connection. And I can share the email list I have for the November meeting because we pulled out a lot of owners, directors, and their personal or their work emails, and certainly highlight the ones and maybe sit down with Matt and see who they reached out to and who they didn't and how they reached out. Like if that was an email, can you send that same email to this next maybe round of?
Right.
So I can do that because I think it's a good list, or it was getting almost a year old now. But it has under the radar groups. It did have Conexiones on there. It had some other stuff. Angelique kind of pulled some stuff together from her outreach, and it's a start. You have to start somewhere. And hopefully one thing leads to another, but that's a very good point. I definitely want to chat with Matt after this.
Yeah, because there is some new elementary, or I guess junior high and high school groups that are popping up, like Parkside and what was it? Anyways, they have that group over there. They have a brand new Black Student Union. You know what I'm saying? So they have like the schools are starting to create more, I guess, cultural unions, cultural groups that also have events and fundraisings, and it'd be really, it's very critical that we get the youth involved in public domains like this as early as possible so that they become contributors to the community.
Well, if they have a, executive or a teacher sponsor or director, that would be the email that we'd want to put on kind of a list. Some kind of single point of contact would be very helpful. Other feedback, I definitely agree to more outreach to non-chamber oriented groups. I think that's a great kind of distinction. Then there's also the usual suspects, some of the usual suspects that aren't using this either. I mean, this is not ours to everybody run around and do this, although we could have kind of a one sheet that for our own little circle, hand out and say like, hey, did you know about this? And here's the readership, here's how many people go to the calendar on a monthly basis or on a weekly basis. You could do like a one sheet that we just had, but what are thoughts about how do you, even for the usual suspects, downtown Bloomington, I'm thinking of like the DBA, are they plugged in? Do they highlight this at their meetings? How do you guys help promote this and get people to use it? So I said, there's that side, then there's also letting the public know, but CVB can, they get some money, so how are they doing that? What do you guys think?
I'm just, after taking a look at it, Kelly, my guess is that, I mean, I think people have fallen back into sort of just the routine of, I'm assuming everyone's coming to my Facebook page and knows about my event. And there's not very much cross pollination, which it saves a lot of time that way. I get it. But, I think I would be curious to hear from another group, but most social media engagement has gone this way. So you can't really rely on folks, one, even seeing it, and then two, engaging with it. So I do think it's going to be imperative that we share some good data. I'm glad you guys asked about data for the CVB webpage, and I'll do the same for WGLT, because I really don't think that Facebook events are gathering sort of the eyeballs and traffic that they once were.
Well, Facebook events gather traffic from Facebook's demographic, which is my age. And it's so that, it's certainly one element of a marketing plan or one element of your outreach. But yes, it's not an Instagram, post reaches that demographic. And so social media sometimes has made some things easier, but it's definitely sort of siloed things because those platforms have some very specific demographics that have just naturally embrace them, and then other demographics have not. So the cross-pollination would be very, very good. I'm thinking like the artist meetings, and even the universities. I don't know if the universities are posting stuff out there. I mean, right now no one's having concerts or plays and stuff, but that would be another cross-pollination of seeing it all in one place. And the CVB does a lot of sports stuff. Not right now probably, but like tournaments, they're very much involved in big sports tournaments. And that's an angle is when parents are here watching their lovely kids in their tournaments, the kids will play like, I play at 9 a.m. and then we don't play again till like 6 p.m. And they're always looking for things to fill that time, or the kids playing or in meetings and mom and dad and the rest of the kids have something to do. And Matt was saying that's a really common ask of the CVB is like, what else is there to do? I've got like 4 hours, never been to Bloomington before. So that's, I think, one kind of angle that people don't think about that it's not necessarily always speaking just to your neighbors. It's some out of towners as well. I want to highlight that. Other thoughts on how what our role could be to help amplify that? I'm thinking definitely Downtown Business Association. I don't know where they're at. Are they even, Jim, do you know if they're even meeting, the DBA?
You know, we could take a more active role in trying to get the word out to the college admission offices when you talk about, you know, people coming to town. Bits of time when students are coming in to visit campus, or, you know, new student week or whatever the case, where they're coming in with parents. It just, you know, it occurred to me, I don't know if that's enough as a large enough number. And I'm fairly sure that the admission offices are already, you know, trying to find
Highlighting.
compelling aspects of the community when the parents are here. But I mean, that would be an action that we could take, or somebody could take to, I mean, if we could facilitate getting a feed more directly to them, not just sort of the highlights of Bloomington, but here's an event that's happening. I mean, just a thought, because I mean, more so with Illinois State, obviously, because the volume is higher there with regard to the students coming in. But I don't know how many parents come with them as opposed to at Wesleyan, for example, where it's a very helicopter parent kind of world. But anyway, I don't know what's going on. It's a demographic, like you mentioned, that's still alive and coming in and would actually like to participate in events.
Right. Yeah. You know, Meryl, I think about some of your events, and you know, you're just one person trying to do everything. And apparently you do everything. And Angelique as well, you're one person for some of your events. And what do you know, when you think about advertising or thinking about that kind of stuff, like, is this something that you would incorporate? I mean, do you, in addition to social media, do you use both and all of it?
So, as a small business owner and being the one person, there are some months where I go and post everywhere. I'll make an event on the CVB. I'll make an event on for kids events, Macaroni Kid. I'll take an hour and go through and post everywhere, Facebook, everything. And then other months, I'm just really busy and I don't post at all, or I only do, you know, a newsletter announcement to whatever my list is, which is small right now because that is, again, not a focus of mine right now. So I fluctuate. As a small business owner, I fluctuate. Even though I have a plan.
And we do the same. We have multiple social media accounts that we post to that. We'll tag a bunch of people because the way that the algorithms are set up, no one will see anybody's shares. You could people who shared 36 times and no one will see any of them. Unless you are like tagging like at least 12 people on your post, then nobody sees it. So there's all those strategies, but yeah, so we use all our social media. We ask the parents to use their social media. We have a parent page. We anyone that's involved with the event, we ask them to also promote it in all of their ways so that all the ripples kind of go out. So I mean, there's really nothing that I would use the calendar. I haven't used the calendars in a long while, for the same reasons that Meryl has brought up. They were difficult, but I forgot about them, to be honest. So now,
Well, yeah,
on my task list to go.
That's fair. You know, if you don't, I think that is telling of maybe, you know, we need to, how we can help maybe amplify it to remind people, because yeah, you forgot about them, so that's fair.
Definitely forgot they existed. So we do have an event coming up on October 3rd and 10th, the same event, just left for weather and whatever purposes. But yeah, so I'll be, same with Meryl, I'll be entering that into CVB GLT today, and I can send you an email for progress.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear. We'll have 2 test cases then for how the turnaround time is. But I do agree with you, Meryl, that they did have some staffing changes. They have a new marketing person, and because Melissa did some outreach early on, and they were a little, we are a little, we're very, very busy. We don't have enough staff. Things are going on. So they were a little bit chaotic there. They seem to be much more organized. They've got staffing in place. So hopefully that's a good sign that they've got some processes back in place. I will, when I meet with Matt, and I'll meet with him because he reached out and met with me once before. But I would be interested. I wonder if they would produce maybe a like half sheet card or one sheet about, the calendar. Then we could help maybe with distribution or distribution recommendations. Because it's to their advantage to get people to put stuff in. So maybe they could produce something like that.
Really, is that really kind of our function, is to just serve as a just sort of disseminating agent, like using our email list from the conference, and once we get a good solid set of calendars, we'd say, here, arts and culture people, if you have an event, if you want to promote your business, if you want to promote your art, here are some sort of verified calendar options. I mean, is that what we're shooting to do here? I mean, because we keep talking about getting the word out.
Right.
Is that going to be via, are we going to maybe try to have a regular emailing coming from the Cultural Commission that people would just jump to open the moment it hits their inbox, because there'll be so much good information?
Absolutely.
I'm just kind of wondering what we're talking about with regard to the end game.
Well, I struggle with that as well, because the commission, I mean, you look at other city commissions and county commissions. So, even like the planning commission or the liquor commission, they don't actually do. They suggest and review, and they suggest the city do things, or they recommend and put things before. But there's also an element that I think we can do, but that's why I was thinking, well, maybe the CVB could do some advertising, like production, actual things, and then we could help maybe with distributing to, like, making sure the DBA, hey, would you pass this out to all your members or send this to all your members, and be that kind of catalyst between all of that. We are not gonna, and we don't have the bandwidth, but we are not gonna make this thing if we wanted something like that, or even sending emails to everyone. That's not, the commission shouldn't be the holder of, email lists or constant contact, that kind of stuff. Now, as far as a monthly email, I think it'd be fantastic, but I certainly don't have the bandwidth to write such a thing. And so I think we're gonna have to connect to find out what we want to distribute, and find a way for someone to create that, be it a nice looking email, solicitation, or an info guide, something physical that maybe if one of us is going to First Friday to distribute, work with the DBA, work with the Downtown Artists Association, the college admissions offices is a really great thing, and maybe you kind of co-opt them too, like, hey, student groups can put stuff in here if they have an event. So it's open to the public.
It seems like we could send out a periodic email, a bit like we do the periodic conference. It's trying to make it a regular routine, but I mean, it's kind of an act. We've taken an act as a commission. We've done the conference. We've done this. We tried to get the cultural district. Mm-hmm. We now send out the occasional support the arts email that, like you say, if it came out every month, it might just go to spam. But if it came out once in a while, it might get people to look at it. I don't know, just as a thought, as far as we go to all this work to gather information and get people on board. And then it seems to me that there are a lot of people in the community that maybe don't know, and obviously they're not coming to these meetings. And so They might be happy to hear that, look what we've been able to aggregate, and let you know that this is available to you as an arts and culture person. Just a thought.
Yeah.
I mean, it gives us some, I'm just clawing for legitimacy.
I know.
And certainly we don't want to compare ourselves to the other commissions, because I talk to the other commissioners and what they actually do, and it's, in most cases, not very much.
Yes.
Is it something? Yeah. Is it something that you put out a PSA about at the start, and then kind of follow up with Mark's idea of like once a quarter we send an email so that it's not overindulging. You know, we get the word out, the PSA is out there, whatever it is. Because we had talked about this before of doing some sort of, you know, campaign, if you will. And we didn't do it for right reasons. We didn't have enough information at the time to complete that. But if this is like the campaign, running that PSA and then that follow-up and being consistent in our follow-up. I mean, that's one of the things of all organizations, myself included. We are not consistent in our follow-up. And as a result, you know, we don't have the followers, you know, because we're not in their ear. We're not in their eye. We're not there. And as a commission, we held this really great meeting, got a lot of insight, and then we disappeared. Now, granted, we also had a pandemic that caused everybody to disappear. But we disappeared, and I think that we have to ramp that back up just to be in people's space, if you will. So I don't know. I'm positive for a PSA for starters.
I'm certainly open to it. And we did, Adam did send out and connected to that meeting the invite to everyone that went to that meeting for the discussion group, the Google groups. So he and I worked on that solicitation together, and that you were at this meeting and we really want you to kind of jump in. So that was one sort of touch point to help sort of remind people that we were there. And I'm, you know, very open to that. I just, and we do have an opportunity here. So if we can get, I was trying to think how we would format that. So if the CVB did kind of a one-page email, or if we get their solicitation, that we could just forward from our commission address out, or put a header on it that we wanted to make sure, you know, one of the number one things, or the number one thing that was raised at the conference was a shared calendar. Here's, you know, the CVB's calendar, and it has a new nonprofit element. Here's how that works. So it was a natural.
We could work on it together. It wouldn't have to be put on, you know, you, Kelly, or any one person to create this email. We should all kind of chime in on it and bring it together.
And I think there is a way, you know, kind of the fact that we haven't been very vocal in the last few months is actually to our benefit, in the fact that, hey, we've been looking and researching, and based on, you know, clicks and numbers and draws, these are what we feel can best support our artists, as opposed to we endorse these, because we can't do that. You know, we can't endorse specific calendars, but what we can say is like, hey, in our research, we know there's several places that you can go. These seem to get a lot of reach.
Or here's
Try
the data.
these.
Yeah.
You know, it makes it very objective instead
That's
of
true.
our subjective of who wanted to join us on our meetings at what time.
So if we included like WGLT, do they have, I mean, I don't know if that's public information they would share, is like the number of visits to their calendar.
Yeah, we can share that.
Because that is a good way to do that, is here is some data, and here's some highlights of these particular calendars, and here's the new nonprofit for the CVB. And
I was surprised that Kelly wasn't aware of the number of hits, because that's like the most important.
I know, I was surprised too. I figured that.
Find out.
I'm not sure how long she's been there.
Yeah, she may be pretty
Been
new.
there 6 months. So good question. I think we challenged her, which is good. Good growth opportunity this morning at 7:30 a.m.
At 7:30 in the morning. Yeah. When I asked Matt, I'm like, oh, you know, can you join us and show us the calendar? And he's like, Kelly can join you. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Hey,
I know
Kelly.
he's got two at home trying to
Oh,
finagle and wrangle and homeschool, I'm sure.
Homeschooling's fun. I got 3. So, Kelly, so for the last like 10 minutes, since you brought up like the purpose of the cultural commissions and the other commissions being more advisory, so I like that, like that feels good. That feels good. That takes a lot of pressure off of us to be doers. So with this email that we would send out to everyone that we collected, because that took a long time to get that list together.
Yeah.
So we should be using it. And I agree with Mark, even if it's like an every 6 month thing or something along those lines, that would be super great. And I think maybe if we were to put, and I want to get obviously everybody else's feedback on this, because this is just the beginning of the vision. I was just thinking big picture, but like if we use this, if one of our purposes, like if we do that 6 month email or whatnot, I think one of the things that the community would expect from the Cultural Commission at the City of Bloomington is not only to advocate, but also if we had that email, okay, I'm trying to like organize the thoughts. Hopefully you're following me. This first email that goes out with the calendars, if we can also solicit maybe the organizational updates, no events, but like updates. So like, if like, for example, BCAI is completely restructured. Our programming is different. Sit down. You're gonna fall. Is completely restructured. And so like the updates from BCII alone, that's valuable to the community to know. It's for collaborational purposes, for sending their own constituents to, or literally anything that could come of that. And I'm interested as a community member, like what other cultural organizations, what their updates are. So if Conaxios Latinas or McLean County Indian Association has a brand new like epic thing, I want to know about it. You know what I'm saying? So I think if we could use that email to also solicit kind of like organizational updates, that would be really, really beneficial for us as an organization. That way we're not necessarily we're kind of like bridging and
Yeah, I think that it's valuable information for the community. Would we maybe direct them to maybe have an organizational update in the discussion group? Because if they replied back to the commission email, what would we do with that? It would be an individual, and then we'd have to collect it and put it back out to the community.
I don't think we want to get into the business of taking replies. I mean,
Yeah, just the logistics of that. But we could
Here's
say
the
like,
information.
and this Google group over here, and we could actually start a discussion that says current organizational updates, or what have you been up to in the last 6 months. And then you could actually, start it and maybe solicit someone else, be like, all right, I went, you went, because we have to encourage people to weigh
I
in.
haven't been getting a lot of notifications from that. I get it from like you, and I think Melissa posted once, and I don't like, so it's not really getting a lot of traffic. So how you gotta
promote it
too, because it's not gonna be beneficial if nobody's posting except for you and me. So I know I posted a couple times too. So.
Pam Eaton posted. I think she was the only other one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much is really going on. I've seen a couple things trickle in for Datebook and other things. So yeah, I think it's going to be a struggle, but it does help to have little conversation starters out there. I think we can take turns having a thread every other week. We can try to make a goal twice a month and start encourage dialogue, but
and
maybe they'll tick up here as we get into our new normal for fall and winter.
Right. This room, this is the coldest room I have been in 6 months.
That room is freezing.
It is.
Always.
I don't remember that. I haven't been to a council meeting in a long time. All right, so we are coming up on time, and I have to go. Jeff had to leave early, and he did let me know that. I don't know if anybody heard from RJ this morning. No, okay. Just making sure I didn't miss an email. I am going to reach out to the CVB, to Matt at the CVB. Kelly should be sending me viewership. If not, I'll revisit that with him. I'll make sure that he has the list of emails for our November conference, to make sure that email went to kind of cross-check with his chamber list and see who's missing and get that out. And then if I have one meeting with him, I can check off a lot of this. Then also, I would like to get that solicitation, and I'll get that maybe from Kelly, like what did you send to those chamber nonprofit organizations? And if we get that, then Let's use that sort of as a starting point. Either we forward it, or do we use it as content, or do we say put our header on it and use it as an email? We'll start from there. If I get that solicitation, Mark, would you be willing to kind of like look at it and see like what we could use and what we couldn't? Maybe we could then start group editing, or which is horrible, but we can do
Bounce it
that.
around, it's not a big deal.
We can make a stab at it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
I'm happy to. And I can add the WGLT content into that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Highlight the Google discussion group. We'll definitely do that. And then we could, we can frame something up to send out. I think we have the commission email address. I don't know how to send something from it, but I assume it's possible. I don't know. It's just a receiving.
It's okay to learn
element,
something
potentially.
new. You can learn something new. It's okay. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've learned many new things.
Well, I learned so many new things. I used a Google, I just set up a random Google Gmail account for the November conference. I'll go back and see what that was in order to send stuff out. So,
Kelly, are we still down a commission member also?
yes, we are. And I was just not, well, I was kind of complaining a little bit to a friend of mine that, I've talked to people and I've reached out to, friends of mine that are in Black sororities, fraternities. I've reached out to some of these people, and a couple of them have come to a meeting, and it's frustrating because people are like, oh, we want change. We want more diversity. We want more like, oh, well, here's an opportunity. Like, oh, well, that sounds like work. And, I just feel I'm a little frustrated that people are like, yeah, that's a great opportunity. And it's, so I haven't
Maybe
really
the rest
done
of
any
us, maybe the rest of us could, try to find like you mentioned, the diversity notion would be prioritized, but, helps to have another thinker on the group. I mean, we have happily Christine now, but one more icing on the cake.
Yeah, I think if anybody that you in your circles, have them come to a meeting as a citizen, because we're always open. Jim and I are in this freezing room because of open meeting rooms, and that would be great. This computer says your computer is about to restart. This is the city computer, which is this meeting. It must restart, and if you don't take action, your computer will start automatically in. Oh, not quite yet. All right.
I have a quick announcement if we have a second
Melissa.
for new business. We have been contacted by a couple of groups trying to host events this fall and looking for ways to help have a live audience, since we are going to be so restricted on our venue live audiences. So I think what's going to end up happening is WGLT is going to donate airtime starting in October on Friday nights to groups looking for performance venues for live audiences. So right now, our first local performance is going to be Heartland Theater's production of War of the Worlds, which, if you're not familiar, was originated as a radio play.
Yeah.
So it'll air on Friday night, October 30th, which is the original air date. October 30th was 1930 something. And then the Peoria Symphony Orchestra will be on in both WCBU, the Peoria Market, and WGLT. So I'm just finalizing some of the logistics details. We do need a fully complete audio file recorded by an audio engineer that the nonprofit needs to coordinate. We only have one engineer for 2 stations, so we can't share our engineer. But I'm finalizing some of the template and guidelines for what that would look like. So I'll share that hopefully in the next 7 to 10 days.
Wow, that's great.
But if you hear of folks who are, in need or searching for something, you can send them my way with questions. We'll see if they're a good fit. I will caution you, radio is not a good fit for everything,
Right.
but it is a good fit for some things. So we won't be able to say yes to everything, but we're going to try to get as much on the air as we can starting in October.
That's
So
awesome. kudos
Yeah.
to WGLT for some creativity and donation.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it should be fun.
All right, anything else? Thank you, everyone. Appreciate that. Tina, welcome. This is her first official commission meeting. So she was appointed August 10th, and we're very happy to have you with us and hopefully bringing perspective and another voice. So as we
I'm
work
just
through this.
learning now, so it'll be a while before I bring any perspective to you.
Well, we appreciate you very much. Thank you. So with that, we will adjourn the meeting.
One more
and
thing.
Oh, Angelique.
So since we haven't met, most of you are, if all of you are completely unfamiliar with the update of BCAI School of Arts. So BCAI as a restructured organization, we've been around for 8.5 years. So now we're entering in officially in phase 3 of BCAI, where we are like really focused on the humanities and cultural arts. So since we have a focus on hip hop as a culture. And so we have our very first 6-week session coming up is hip hop cultural arts. It'll be the foundations. And it starts the middle of October. So October 13th. So it is on Facebook. It's on our website now. So please, I guess, spread the word, and familiarize yourself, contact me with the questions.
And it'll go on the CVB calendar.
Yeah, this is really epic and very different for this community. It's going to bring a lot of amazing everything to this community. I can foresee a whole bunch of cool stuff coming from it because
It sounds fascinating.
thing. So,
And I agree, this is different for the community. Not all elements of not all segments of the community, but many, yes. Very cool. All right, I know I have to go, so I appreciate your guys' time and your input and your thoughts. So I will talk to you soon. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Stop the meeting.